This is not a breakdown of the Nemechek protocol. That's a video for another day. This is just why you don't need it and what you can do instead. The main reason why people have adverse reactions on this protocol, or actually there are two main reasons. One is it doesn't focus on diet. So you're basically told you can eat whatever you want as long as you're following the protocol, which is olive oil, inulin, and there's this vagus nerve stimulation that's part of the protocol as well. Now, the inulin causes a lot of problem for a lot of kids because their gut is disrupted to begin with, and it causes excessive tantrums and mood swings and aggressive behavior, and so people who experience this are just told, well, you just need to follow the protocol and then get off it and get on it again, or maybe cut out the inulin, and then things will be fine. But it's actually highly problematic not to focus on getting the microbiome, which is the healthy flora inside the gut, which is responsible for combating viruses and bacteria. It's like the soldiers inside the body, recognizing who's enemy and who's friend. The main thing you need to do is to heal the gut and to feed the microbiome. And the microbiome needs healthy foods. It needs healthy fibers, but not inulin. Fibers from fruits and vegetables and resistant starches and all kinds of berries, and different microbiome soldiers need different types of food. So, and you need to change those things up. So it's a massive blind spot and a huge problem that you're told that you can eat whatever you want, because food, the wrong kind of food and food that disrupt the gut and doesn't feed the microbiome, doesn't strengthen the immune system, and doesn't take into consideration that 90% of children with autism are dealing with undermethylation. So food is crucial for them to overcome tantrums, because undermethylation impairs a healthy neurotransmission, meaning that dopamine and serotonin is not balanced and released the way that it should be. And that's why we get mood swings, and hormones are not balanced and activated and dealt with in the body the way that it should. Enzyme production is not well functioning, and DNA expression, DNA is also affected by undermethylation in a negative way. So every single aspect of the body is influenced by this. You cannot detoxify, you cannot affect your child's mood and autism symptoms that are very behavioral without addressing undermethylation by changing the nutrient input. So that's a video for another day. How do you do that? So it's a huge problem. You cannot, by and large, you cannot on a large scale help children without changing their diet. So that's a lie. Number two is that the key element that is then sold as the protocol, and the reason why some of these children have results, is actually not because of the Nemechek protocol, but most likely because of the olive oil. And let me tell you why. Olive oil raises the level of DAO, D-A-O, the enzyme DAO. And the DAO enzyme breaks down histamine. And that is really important when you're undermethylated, because low methyl means high histamine. So if you're undermethylated, you have high histamine. This is why some of our children are dealing with allergies and eczema and seasonal allergies. So you want to lower histamine. And that's something that olive oil is really useful for, because it's great for the DAO enzymes. So you can literally buy a great quality olive oil and start using that in the food and on top of food, and spare yourself all the grief of having to deal with this protocol. and the bad advice that is sometimes given inside the community about, doesn't matter with the diet. Then there's a part about the nervous system healing and the vagus nerve. And it's true that the vagus nerve has huge impact when it comes to regulating mood and immune system and the function of the organs. And one of the most famous and most amazing experts that I worked with personally, he treated my child in the beginning of my turnaround process. His name was Dr. Bradstreet. One of the things that he did was that he looked at studies from deceased children and adults with autism. One of the problems with autism is that these people die young, and they die because they drown or they die because of suicide. And so he examined all these deceased autistic people. And my dog does not like not being part of this and center of attention. I'll be right with you. So he found that all of these people with autism had inflamed vagus nerves, which meant they would not be able to function neurologically, behaviorally, physiologically, because the vagus nerve is connected to so many organs and to the immune system and the function of the immune system. And so when he talked about this science, he actually cried because it explained so much about why our children are suffering. But the vagus nerve is regulated by being in nature. The vagus nerve is balanced by walking barefoot outside in the sunlight. We have inflamed vagus nerves because of the environment. We have inflammation in the body because of food that we eat. And this is where this protocol just doesn't make sense. Why do we need to externally manipulate the vagus nerve when we can go into nature and we can do breathing exercises and we can soak in the sunlight and we can be in nature the way that God intended us to be? And I think autism in many ways are calling us back to sanity, back to nature, and back to reality. And one of the facts is that these children are spending way too much time indoors, eating, as a general rule, a suboptimal diet. So did my child. He was always gaming and watching TV and eating nuggets and chicken and pizza, and extreme picky eater. He didn't spend time outdoors much, and his gut was impaired. He didn't have a healthy microbiome. He had eczema. His undermethylation was underregulated. It wasn't balanced, and he had too much of certain nutrients and too little of others. So conclusion, you don't need the Nemechek diet, but you do need olive oil. You do need a healthy diet, real organic food, vegetables, berries, nuts, some good fats, and meat and eggs and stuff like that. And you do need to stimulate the vagus nerve through peace, nature, breathing exercises, and actually being around family, being around animals is extremely beneficial for your nervous system. And vagus nerve regulating exercises are available. You can Google them and you can start implementing them for your child. You don't need a protocol and an expert to confuse you any further and stress you any further. So that's why you don't need the Nemechek protocol.